You have to make Vipassana a part of your life. I was calm, I was collected, and that's when I realized that Vipassana actually is really helpful and practical. Hello everybody, my name is Sachin Bhandari and you're watching the Eccentric Sachin YouTube channel. I remember I was 26 years old, which was a long time from now. I'm 39 when I'm shooting this video. And my friend, she was a French girl, let's just call her Kiara, because I haven't taken her permission to share her story in this video. So she came to Bombay from France, and from Bombay she went to Igatpuri, close to Nasik, to do what is called a Vipassana course, her first Vipassana course. Now, what is a Vipassana course? That's something that I realized for the first time, or I got to know for the first time because of Kiara, and that is that a Vipassana course is a 10-day silent meditation retreat where you learn techniques of meditation, etc. Now, Kiara went for this course and she came back to my place in Bombay. When she came back, she had lost probably about 4 kilos. She looked very different. She was telling me about her entire experience, about how difficult it had been, and you know, there were days that she would keep crying and crying and crying. That was her experience, and she was narrating that to me, and I was wondering at the back of my head, what kind of person does something as extreme as this? Why would anyone go for a silent retreat for 10 days? And why the hell would you meditate for hours in a single day? So that was then. But something at the back of my head told me that I would do a Vipassana course in this lifetime. So that's what this video is all about. This video is about my experience with Vipassana. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and months turned into years after Kiara left, after she had done her first Vipassana course. So Vipassana stayed with me, stayed in the back of my mind. You know, I continued with my PR career, my public relations career, and every once in a while, I would bump into someone who would have or who had done a Vipassana course. I spent about 8 years in public relations after that, and then at the age of 32, I quit my job and I started to travel and write. That's when I took time off. I was traveling for about 18 months. Even during that time, I knew that Vipassana was something I could do. I took a lot of challenges, like, you know, cycling from Bombay to Goa, learning rock climbing in Thailand, journalism in Sri Lanka, music in Brazil, Lost City Trek in Colombia, salsa in Colombia, etc. But for some reason, I did not put the 10-day Vipassana course as one of the challenges. I think it is because I don't think I had the courage to go for a 10-day silence retreat. Now, after all of these things happened, we as a family finally moved to Mysore in December of 2020, and that is when things started changing a little bit. I started finding more time for myself to be able to meditate, to be able to read up on spirituality and a lot of other things. And I chanced upon this book called Vipassana, The Art of Living by William Hart. And I found William Hart's narration really calming, really soothing, and it also had some parts of discourses by Sri S.N. Goenka. He is the person who brought Vipassana from Burma or Myanmar to India, and he talks during these meditation courses, or you know, he's any which way was a very established, he's no more, was a very well established spiritual speaker, etc., etc. So there were a lot of his discourses, stories that he was narrating, and I found the book really good. Like many other books on spirituality, whether it is by Thich Nhat Hanh or someone else. But the one thing that I found different about this particular book and about Vipassana because of that is that William Hart mentioned in the book that we are all reacting to the sensations that we feel on our body. So when somebody is angry or somebody yells at us, we are not necessarily reacting only to what the person tells us. We are reacting to how we feel on our body, and that unpleasant sensation sort of, responds, or we react to it in anger. And I found that really interesting. Along with that, what William Hart and even Goenka ji said in that particular audio book was that if you focus on your sensations, the sensations that you feel on your body, then it is much easier to manage your emotions, and you're able to tackle situations with objectivity and not in, in a super angry state or a super tempted state or super joyous state or something like that. So I said, why not test this out? So I actually tested this thing out for a few days, and I remember these instances, like 2 or 3 instances, when somebody was saying something that I didn't like, or I was in a situation that I didn't really appreciate, and I could feel some kind of a sensation on my feet. I could call it a tingling sensation or something else, but I really don't know how to describe it. And when I started focusing on the sensation, I was actually able to manage the situation better. So my response to the situation was not completely go berserk with anger and start yelling or say things that I would later regret. I was calm, I was collected, and that's when I realized that Vipassana actually is really helpful and practical. And I had made up my mind that I really need to go for a Vipassana course now. A few weeks later, when I was looking up on the Dhamma website, the Vipassana website, I realized that there's a place called Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu, and there is a very good Vipassana center there called Dhamma Arunachala, and I found that there was a course from 15 December 2021 to 26 December 2021, where seats were available. Vipassana is pretty popular, especially in places like Bangalore, Bombay, etc. It's very difficult to get a spot on the first 10-day Vipassana course. But I was lucky, I found the spot, and I just walked to my wife, then to my mom, and I told them, hey, you know what, I think it's time for me to go for a Vipassana course. These are the dates. I think I'm going ahead and making an application. I'm not sure if they actually understood what was going on, but both of them said, yes, of course, why not? And that's pretty much like, how my application for Vipassana started. I applied for Vipassana in a few days. My wife and I, we were in Bangalore having a meal at a restaurant called Nagarjuna. And at Nagarjuna restaurant, when I looked at my emails on my phone, I realized that I had been admitted to a Vipassana course. And that is when I actually felt nervous, excited, but also really happy, because I knew that this was going to be like a new chapter in my life. So that's how the application process happened. Pretty simple. All you need to do is to go to the website, Vipassana website, dhamma.org, if I'm not mistaken. I'll leave the link of the website in the description so that you can go ahead and check the website for yourself as well. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Vipassana courses. So, if you are doing a Vipassana course, or if you want to do a Vipassana course, the first one that you have to do is the 10-day course. Without doing that course, you can't actually move on or do shorter courses. So, if you're thinking that, hey, you know what, I want to do a 1-day Vipassana course, I don't think that is possible, at least under, the aegis of the organization founded by Sri S.N. Goenka. I reached Dhamma Arunachala. It's in Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu, which is about an overnight journey in the train from Mysore. I got off at a station called Katpadi. From Katpadi, took a public transport, like a normal bus, public bus, to Tiruvannamalai, and from there took another bus to Dhamma Arunachala. And at about 10:30 a.m., let's call this day 0, right? At 10:30 a.m., I was surrounded by the greenery and the mud-colored walls of Dhamma Arunachala. It was a really fabulous setting, and I was very happy to be there. And the lunch was really scrumptious, though it was completely vegetarian, organic, but I really enjoyed it. So at around 3 in the afternoon, other course mates started arriving. Everybody was almost there. We were talking. We were all, chit-chatting. And so, of course, all of us were slightly nervous about the upcoming 10 days as well. At about 4 p.m., we were asked to deposit our valuables. So the valuables include the most important thing, that is the mobile phone, any gold jewelry, anything that you're wearing, and stuff that you're not supposed to keep with you in your room while you are undergoing the Vipassana course. So at 6 p.m. we were called into something which is called a Dhamma hall. That's where most of the meditation happens, and the teacher initiated us into the course and got us to take the vows. Or there are a few vows that you have to take. Being silent is one, not stealing, not killing, no sexual misconduct, etc. So these are the vows that you take. And about 6 that evening, we were supposed to stop talking to each other.
So I've been assigned a room, E8. I've just been asked to freshen up and then come back for the registration. So I'm walking towards this new building where there's a room called E8. Now I know why a torch is required here, because you have to walk through this and you don't have your phone in the night. Now I get it.
And that is when it started sinking in that this is how I was supposed to stay for the next 10 days. Now, I'm not the most talkative person on the planet, but I'm not also the least talkative person on the planet. I love having a conversation. I love sharing my thoughts. I love noting things down. The other big problem was that I use a notebook almost every day, right? To note things down, to note ideas down, etc., etc. To not have a notebook, either digitally or on paper, was something that I was going to find challenging, or at least I thought so. So at 9 p.m. the lights were off and we slept. That was day 0. Then comes day 1. Day 1, the bell rang at 4. So there's a gong which goes off, and then the person who does the seva, at least the one who was doing the seva at our center for our course, rang the bell close to our rooms. We were all up by 4. By 4:30 we were in the meditation hall, and from 4:30 to 6:30, according to some instructions, we were supposed to meditate, right? 6:30 was breakfast, and the breakfast was again really good. So that was, I knew that the breakfast lunch was going to be the highlight of the day for me. After breakfast, we had a small break, and then we were back at the meditation hall at 8 in the morning. And from 8 till 11, we meditated again, or we were asked to meditate again. And 11 was lunch, and from lunch again, which was delicious, 1 p.m. is when we went back to the Dhamma hall to meditate, and we were done at 5 p.m. And 5 p.m. was just some organic or black tea with some boiled rice kind of snack, very, very minimal, very light. And after that, there was no food to it, so there was no dinner per se. We were then supposed to go back to the Dhamma hall to do some more meditation from 6 to 7, and from 7 to 8:30 was the discourse. So these are recorded discourses by Sri S.N. Goenka, which are played at all the courses, if I'm not mistaken. Any center that you go to, it is his discourses that are played, just to maintain the consistency between courses across so many countries and so many centers. And that I really found interesting, because it gave a lot of context to all the things that we were doing through the day. And after 8:30, we meditated again for half an hour till 9, and then we were, the day ended, and we went back to our room, where each one of us was staying alone, and we were supposed to go back to sleep, because we had the next day, which was starting again at 4. So day 2 started. Days 2 was pretty much the same, and on day 3 I realized that I was too sleepy. So the first 2 days, actually speaking, they were a blur, because I was just sleeping. I was not meditating really. And on day 3, I spoke to my teacher, who told me that that I was feeling really sleepy, and he mentioned that one, you need to either find more rest, because I was coming at the back of a lot of work and really busy days, and my sleep was really affected during that time as well. So I needed to get some more rest. So I decided to start sleeping in the afternoons. And in the second session, or the second half of the day, is when Vipassana started. So for the first 2.5 days, you're doing a meditation technique called Anapana, which is where you focus on your breath and on a small area, above your upper lip, and also on this particular area. So I'm not going to get into too much details into that, because that's something that's best left to Sri Goenka ji and the assistant teachers at the courses. But the third day, Vipassana starts. And then when Vipassana starts, you're supposed to scan sensations from head to toe, You start off slowly, you start off figuring out all the sensations that you feel on your body. So that's difficult in itself, right? But what we also realized on the third day is that we had to do something called Aditana. Now, Aditana simply means the sitting of strong determination. Sounds simple, right? But the difficult part is that you have to sit still with folded legs on the floor for 1 full hour while meditating without moving your posture. Try it sometimes and you'll know how difficult it is. So the first Aditana session, along with the Vipassana and everything, I literally had tears in my eyes. I thought I had made a wrong decision. This wasn't for me. And then at 7 to 8:30, so after the Aditana session, 7 to 8:30, there was this discourse by Sri S.N. Goenkaji. So of course he tells you a lot of interesting and good things about Vipassana, about techniques, about Buddha, about Dhamma, all of these things. But the one thing that remained with me that day is that he mentioned that when you feel pain, there's one, at a basic level that you feel pain, there's hurt, which is more biological or physical. But we increase or we multiply our pain by creating aversion towards it and thinking that, oh my God, I'm in so much pain, and the pain multiplies, and that's why you feel so hurt. And he said that the moment you stop giving the pain so much attention or giving it so much importance, you probably will feel only half the pain. So after that discourse, the last part, 8:30 to 9, we were supposed to do this Aditana thing again, sitting of strong determination, not moving your posture. And during that time, I actually felt it was a lot easier. Now the word that you should underline is easier, not easy, but it was manageable. And when I went back to my room that evening, I was like, whoa, I think I've aced Vipassana. I know what it is and I can do this. This is absolutely up my alley. Day 4. How wrong was I mean, the thing about the entire Vipassana course is that you can never predict or you can never say that this is it, now I know this, etc., etc. And that's one of the most important messages as well of a Vipassana course, is that no matter what we want in life, or if we want peace and happiness and contentment, it's something that you have to keep working towards. You can never ever say that you've achieved it, because it's as fleeting as, I don't know, like sand which you're holding in your hand. So the 4th day again was challenging because there were new techniques or new steps added to Vipassana. So we started off different. Again, I don't want to get into those details because they are a bit difficult for me to explain, and I'm an amateur. I have just done a Vipassana course, so I don't think I'm qualified to give you any specifics about those techniques. But it kept getting difficult. It's a bit like, when you learn how to ride a normal bicycle for the first time. You just about started learning how to pedal. But immediately the next day, the instructor asks you that you have to change the gears also, and you have to apply brakes as well. And you're like, oh my God, I still don't know how to pedal correctly, and these guys are expecting me to do few more things. That's exactly how things go on in the Vipassana course. So that's how day 4 went. It was difficult. Day 5, I felt a tinge of hope that if I'm able to complete this day, then I would probably be midway through the course, and after that it's supposed to become easy, right? Again, as usual, I was wrong. Day 6, I started thinking that I need to have something to think about, or some project, so that I can, actually spend these many hours meditating, because just meditating and letting my mind wander like a madman wasn't going to help me. There were so many worries that kept surfacing, so many things that happened, and that senior in college who insulted me, I don't know where that bugger is and how I should be taking some kind of revenge on that person. So all of these things happen. I'm guessing everyone's experience is different, but this is what happened with me. So I decided, let me now take up a project. So one day I'll think about family, the second day I will think about future, the third day I will think about my business, and the 4th day I'll be done with this course. So that was day 6. And I continued that way, but I realized by day 7 that this was a really terrible idea, because it was making meditation that much more difficult. Sitting in that Aditana position was even more difficult because, my mind was always agitated. I was trying to solve problems, etc. And on day 8, I realized that if I do not make the most of what is in front of me, and what was in front of me was somebody teaching me Vipassana, or one of the probably the most valuable techniques that I was ever going to learn. So I had to spend my time learning, understanding that, as opposed to thinking that I should use this time to come up with better ideas for some other aspects of my life. So at least that was my experience. And day 8 and day 9, I really submitted myself to Vipassana, and I tried to do as best as I could. And during those nights also, it was difficult to sleep because I would sleep in the afternoon, and then it would be really difficult to find sleep in the night. And I would sleep at 2. And by that time, my mind had started playing games on me. I could hear noises, which I didn't know what they were. But it was what it was. Day 9 in the night, I knew that the next day we only had about half a day of meditation, and after that we were supposed to break the vow of silence. So I was really happy about that, but I also decided that even the half day that I had, I was going to try and do the best, or I was trying to, make the best use of it, which is what I did. And after that, in the second half of day 10, we were allowed to break our vow of silence, and we were allowed to speak to each other. All these days when I was looking at other batchmates, I used to feel that everybody is having a good time. Everybody knows how to meditate. I am probably the worst sinner in this entire group who can't focus. But I realized that everybody was most people at least were in the same boat as I. People had a lot of challenges. In fact, a couple of my batchmates had gone up to the teacher and told him that they did not want to continue. The teacher somehow managed to convince them to stay back and continue with the course. But still, the batch that I was with was very strong. They were very strong-willed people, and also with the right kind of attitude and intent. So I was very lucky to be amongst those people, and some of them have gone on to become really good friends. I'm still in touch with them. And at day 10 night, just a small anecdote is that on the first day when we were supposed to deposit our valuables, I had a Good Day biscuit packet or a Good Day cookies packet which stayed in my bag without me realizing that it was there. And I realized, I saw the Good Day packet on day 1 or in the night after I came back from the course. And that day I promised myself that I was going to have that Good Day or that the biscuits only on the 10th night, and which is what we did. All of us, we shared the Good Day biscuits. It was almost like, I don't know, probably having tiramisu or something like that in Taj in Bombay, Apollo Bandar. So that was the feeling that we had. And on 11th morning, there was a short discourse. Now, a lot of people will think that these 10 days are important. But I realize now that the 11th morning, the discourse that Goenka ji gave that day was probably the most important. The experience of Vipassana was so intense that, I wanted to share lots of it. Goenka ji talks about the fact that Vipassana is great, but it is great only if you practice it on a regular basis. Just doing a course is not enough. You have to make Vipassana a part of your life. So I really believe in that message. He says that you need to practice Vipassana meditation for 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening every day. And in a year's time, you probably will start seeing some of the benefits. And it's a never-ending path, or at least it's a very long path. And he says that when you do the first 10-day Vipassana course, you're entering the kindergarten of Vipassana. 2 or 3 main messages that I have for you from my own Vipassana experience. Think number 1, a lot of people think of Vipassana as this 10-day silence retreat where you go in and you somehow survive. I think that's the wrong attitude to have, at least in my opinion. Again, everything that I'm sharing in this video is my opinion. Your experience of Vipassana may be completely different. So 10 days, a lot of people think of it like a Survivor series or something like that. That's not the right attitude to have. You're actually going to learn something which is really valuable. and can potentially change your life for the better. So it's important that you go and learn as much as possible. Number two, Vipassana is it's not mystical. It's not about religion. It's not about devotion. Uh, Goenkaji claims that it is scientific. I wouldn't go as far as saying scientific, because I will have to actually study a lot more, understand it a lot more before I agree to that claim. But I do feel that the technique of Vipassana is very logical, and it really focuses on what matters the most, which is, going inwards, understanding sensations on your body, etc. So you don't really need to think of a god, you don't need to chant a mantra, etc., etc. So I don't know if this is for you. Some people are okay with it, some people aren't. So I'll let you take that decision. And number three, be open to the fact that if you go for a Vipassana course, when you come back, you need to be able to make time. So I'm not able to practice. As time goes by, I'd like to meditate 1 full hour, but that is not happening at this point in time. But from whatever I gather, most people who do a Vipassana course don't go on to meditate on a daily basis, and that is why they probably don't see all the benefits that Vipassana can deliver to them. But I feel that Vipassana can do a lot more. I truly believe in this technique. I truly believe in what Gautam Buddha taught in terms of liberation, salvation. I'm not really seeking liberation, salvation or anything. I just want to have a peaceful life on a daily basis. And to be honest, Vipassana has already started delivering a lot of those benefits to me already, though it has just been 1 month since I have done the course. I've seen the change in myself. In fact, I'm also motivating my family members to take up a Vipassana course. In those 10 days, I think I really managed to understand myself a lot better. In fact, you feel like there's a canvas in front of you of your own thoughts, and sometimes you'll see how devilish and how dark you are. And the good thing is that you see those things and then you have the opportunity to change that. So I wish peace to each one of you, whoever's watching this video, and to everybody on this planet. That's it from me in this video. I'll see you in the next one pretty soon.